Huge number of people around the world try to pump the famous six-pack abs, and even more don't even strive for this, but simply dream. But those who try to do this quickly understood that it wasn't so simple. And it seems you do everything right, you train, eat properly, but the packs don't appear. What's the reason? In fact, there may be several reasons. And in this video, I put together the main mistakes that keep you from achieving results. So, this video will save you a lot of time and effort. So watch this video to the end, and you'll understand how to achieve the perfect abs. Let's go! So, mistake number 1. Some people think the abs is one single muscle. In fact, the famous six packs are just one of the superficial manifestations. It's necessary to understand the general anatomy. Firstly, it's a rectus muscle of the abdomen, which consists of 8 packs, and in some even of the noticeable 10 packs. In addition, there are abdominal internal oblique muscle and abdominal external oblique muscle and the transverse muscle of abdomen. This is the whole core muscle group. And understanding what muscles from our abs and our beautiful abdomen, we will be able to achieve results more effectively, because we can vary the load, change exercises, change the weight angle. So, for example, if we fix the legs and perform crunches, then there is a slightly greater emphasis on the upper part of the rectus muscle of the abdomen. And on the contrary, if we raise our legs and pelvis to the corpus, for example hanging on the pull-up bar, then again, the rectus muscle of the abdomen works, first of all, and the emphasis slightly shifts to the lower packs. Although in general, I must say that lifting your legs in a hanging is one of the most effective, complex and basic exercises for the abs. If we perform lateral crunches or lift legs to the sides, then this will train our so-called side abs, that is abdominal oblique muscles. The next mistake is avoiding extra weight. Yes, it seems to many people that the abs can only be pumped with its body weight. That is only crunches, only leg lifts, and no extra weight is needed. Work with your body and the result will be. Some lucky ones, of course, succeed, but in general it's an exception, because if you work with additional weight, then the effect will be faster, because there are a lot of exercises, especially if we don't just work out on the pull-up bar, but go to a full-fledged gym, and the extra weight can be created for our abs too. For example, a very good exercise, the cable crunches when we take upper cables and perform bending. There you can adjust the additional weight, so we can perform 8, 12 or even 20 repetitions before failure. There are also exercise machines, where similar exercises are also performed. You can also raise your legs on the crossbar with additional weight. For example, take a dumbbell between the legs. It must be understood that if we already perform the movement on the abs 20, 30, 40, 50 times, then of course it's great that we are engaged in physical education, but from the point of view of the development of muscles, it's not the most effective approach. For the abs, the benchmark is about 20 repetitions, which should lead to failure or to a state close to failure. Therefore, if you do much more repetitions, then you need to add the additional weight and increase intensity. The next mistake is to use the same exercises. For example, a person began to crunch a year ago, and a year later continues to make them, and then wonders why the abs doesn't grow. In fact, exercises need to be changed at least once every 2 months, or even more often, once a month, because the muscles need to be constantly surprised. They get used to the same type of load very quickly and stop responding well to it. So the most optimal is to pick up several exercises. For example, this month we select of 2 or 3 exercises. Next month we do other 2 or 3 exercises. In the third month, again, others. Another mistake is to rest between repetitions. Here I mean repetitions, not sets. Between sets, of course, rest is needed. But what do I mean by rest between repetitions? This is when we choose a such amplitude of motion, in which there is certain time segment in which the muscle doesn't work at all, but relaxes. For example, we hang on a pull-up bar and raise our feet in a hanging. What is the point at which the abs strains in a minimum volume, or doesn't strain at all, but completely relaxes? That's right, when our legs hang vertically down. So you don't need to go into this position. When you lower your legs down, don't bring them to the lowest point in order to completely relax our muscles, but bring them to a level slightly higher than the lowest point. Of course, I understand this desire to lower our legs as much as possible to relax our muscles. Because it's subconscious desire, it's easier for us. Our body and our brain also strive to somehow minimize the load and strain less. This is a natural reaction for humans. We must understand that the most effective muscle development occurs when muscles constantly work and we don't let them rest within the limits of repetition. The next mistake is attracting other muscles to help us in a muscle contraction. It can be, for example, hip flexors, either our hands or even our back in some movements. We must clearly isolate our abs and work exclusively for it. For example, we do fit lifting in a hanging. If we just lift our legs and our pelvis is fixed, then in fact an iliopsoas muscle and a little more quads are working. And it seems to us that we're pumping the abs, but not really. And it's not surprising that we will have a sense of burning and pumping in the hips area. Therefore, it's necessary to lift the pelvis so that the load goes to the abs. Or, for example, the classic crunches. So we fixed our legs and lift our corpus up and down, up and down. So in addition to the rectus muscle of the abdomen, the iliopsoas and a little more quads will also work here. But in fact you need to concentrate on our abs. Think about this muscle, provide neuromuscular control and constrict the abs. Or another example, when we help ourselves with hands. This is if we put our hands behind our heads and pull out the corpus with a jerk, also straining with our hands. This is another mistake that steals tension from the abs. That is, you don't need to pull yourself by the head with your hands. It's cheating, and this reduces efficiency. And the next mistake in the development of the abs is the lack of comprehensive approach. If we want to see the six-pack abs, then we must not only pump the muscles, but also provide a diet, so we must control our total daily calorie intake. Generally, we can see six-pack abs when a person has a low percentage of subcutaneous fat, first of all. And only in the second place it depends on the degree of pumping of the rectus muscle of the abdomen. So, if your main goal is six-pack abs, then in fact you need to start with a diet, and abs workout will simply be an addition.